Welcome to a new Draw My Life video. Welcome to a new Scary Tuesday TikTakers. In this occasion, we're traveling back to Japan and the yokai mythology to tell you about a dreaded yûrei or apparition. We're talking about YUKI-ONNA, the Snow Woman. Her physical appearance is that of a very beautiful young woman. She's tall and her hair is long, but her eyes can terrify anyone by just looking at them, and her skin is very pale. It almost seems transparent. She usually wears a white kimono, but in some legends she appears naked, laying on the snow, and her face and hair are the only contrast with what's around her. When she moves, she floats over the snow and leaves no trace. Some people even say she doesn't have feet, a common characteristic in many yokai. If she feels threatened, she can vanish, transforming into a cloud of smoke or snow, since she's associated with winter and that kind of snowy landscapes. And she usually appears when the weather conditions are like that. And about the origin, people say it's the spirit of a pregnant woman who froze to death in the snow. That's why sometimes she shows herself holding a baby on her arms. Other versions say it's a princess from the moon who, tired of her life, came down to Earth during a snowstorm to explore it, and then she never knew how to get back home. She has an evil nature. Her beauty hypnotizes the travelers that are tired of fighting against the storm, and she uses her frozen breath to calm them down and send them to sleep, until they pass out and turn into ice sculptures. Sometimes she just disorientates them and leads them to dying lost in the middle of the snow. But in other legends, she's a more aggressive character. She goes into people's houses, knocks the door down with a gust of wind to kill them while they sleep. Even sometimes she adopts the shape of a succubus or a female demon to seduce weak men and with a kiss take from them their vitality. As you can see, she has multiple manifestations, and depending on where in Japan we go to, we'll hear different versions. In the prefecture of Niigata, they say she kidnaps kids. In Iwate and Miyagi, they say she steals souls. And in Ibaraki, she throws men who ignore her off cliffs. In Aomori, she is called Ubume, and she asks travelers to hold her baby. But the baby is so heavy that the person holding him can't move and freezes to death. YUKI-ONNA is one of the most classic characters in Japanese culture. She usually appears in the most famous franchises, manga, anime, video games, such as Crayon Shin-chan, One Piece, Ranma, or Final Fantasy. But YUKI-ONNA also has a merciful side, as it is shown in the most popular tale. We can find it in the compilation book Kwaidan, Stories and Studies of Strange Things, by the scholar of Eastern culture Lefkadi O'Hearn. One winter night, Minokichi and his mentor Musaku were going back home after a long trip. The last obstacle they had left was going across the river, but when they got there, they were surprised by the boatman not being there. This, plus the weather conditions, forced them to spend the night in his cabin. Musaku fell exhausted, but it took longer for his disciple to fall asleep, with all the noise of the storm at the door. When he finally fell asleep, a gust of wind and snow against his face woke him up again. Minokichi opened his eyes and saw the door open and a beautiful young lady with long hair and a white kimono leaning on his master, kissing him with her blue lips. She turned around and jumped on him as well. He tried to resist but couldn't. The woman looked at him and whispered with her frozen breath that she was going to do the same to him. But due to his age and his beauty, she'd spare his life, though under one condition. He couldn't tell anyone about their encounter or he'd immediately die. When she vanished, Minokichi tried to wake his master up, but his body was as cold and rigid as ice. A year after, winter came back, and one day Minokichi was going back home when he saw a beautiful girl called Yuki. She was going to town to try to work as a maid. The young boy was captivated by her beauty, and he didn't hesitate to host her. Soon after, they married, and Yuki gave birth to 10 beautiful kids, who surprisingly had a paler skin than usual. One night, while Yuki was knitting by a lamp, Minokichi looked at her face and confessed she reminded him of a figure he had seen years ago, a spirit from the other side who had taken his master's life with her frozen breath. When she heard this, Yuki suddenly left what she was doing and a horrible smile appeared on her face. Slowly, she got close to Minokichi, laughing evilly, transforming into the ghost and reproaching him for not keeping their secret. "You idiot! If it weren't for our children, I'd kill you right now. Remember this, if they ever complain about you, I'll know. In a cold and snowy night, I'll come for you and I'll kill you." Suddenly, the spirit became white fog and left up the fireplace, forever. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, and if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!